Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Will. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. It is Sunday. We're getting ready for the markets on Tuesday, though, because the markets close tomorrow for Labor Day. It's still an exciting Sunday here to jump in, and we're going to start this analysis off with an analysis here on Big Bear. So, we're live. One thing to note, we've been covering some of the top data center companies, the top AI companies. And if you're looking to learn how to find the best deals right now, one of the best places to start is where the most amount of data is being processed. So we like to watch, the companies that are not just building AI, but have a lot of data involved in their growth. So that might include companies related to data centers. That might include, companies that are processing large amounts of data or working on big problems for different companies that, as they have lots of customers, how can AI help them, manage that data? And so it's always something we're focused on for the company's value to the marketplace, because an AI doesn't have much power if it can't work with data digitally. Now I see some comments here. Tristan, happy Sunday. Curtis, good to see you. Good morning from Saskatoon. Good morning, Declan. Good to see you there. Happy Sunday, everybody. All right. It is a little different Sunday than normal, right? Because we don't have the market opening tomorrow. But let's jump into it. So we did some coverage this week on some robotics stocks extensively. If you missed it, we traded some companies in robotics, including Serve, which we saw firsthand delivering food here in our vacation here in LA. Kind of a vacation, more of a business, but also a good time with family. Then we traded some, did some data center analysis on a lot of companies this week as well. And we got to jump into some individual companies in quantum. Now, just a quick update before we get into Big Bear. We are going to be going to a quantum computing conference this week. We plan to, we're going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. There's going to be Los Alamos is going to be there, Oxford, IBM is going to be there. We're going to see IonQ and Quantinium. We're going to see a lot of the quantum companies to get a good pulse on where quantum is going right now as well, because we know quantum stocks are kind of at all-time highs right now. We want to assess the value, assess the delivery to the marketplace. So we're going to be at a conference in Albuquerque. And I was born in Albuquerque, so that's actually pretty cool because, my grandma lives there actually, and we visit her a couple times a year. So I'm going to get to go surprise visit her there. Fun fact, I was born in the same hospital in Albuquerque as Jeff Bezos. Kind of funny. But anyway, we're going to jump into it. BigBear.AI. So one thing that we're looking on the chart here, we could start a little bit on the chart, but we saw it kind of have a rough few days. It's had consecutive red days with kind of the greater market towards the end of this week. But with these red days come potential opportunities. So we see them sell down to in this trend. They're kind of in this smaller downtrend that is part of a medium-sized downtrend you could see that started back in July, but it's part of a greater uptrend that's been going on for the last year. So a little bit on the near term, looking for a slight bounce, maybe a recovery up into that $5.25 range. So Kevin Ackerman's here. What's going on, Kevin? It's good to be on the home soil of Kevin here in Los Angeles. Abid is here. Says, buy as much as you can buy. Last chance. You'll never find this price. It's a futuristic AI company with strong order books. Yeah, I don't know. I love to give you the facts, but ultimately, there's no agenda here to make you buy anything. I just want to give you guys the facts and give you the insights that you need in order to make, good decisions. But definitely, if that's how you see it, all power to you. Rob says, what's up? What's up, Rob? Good to see you, man. So, happy Sunday, everyone. Let's jump in. The first focus that I don't think a lot of people are having on Big Bear. One thing is they're getting ready for the World Cup. So you see them talking about 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics. And we've heard about, their power plays, trying to get to be the company that provides the infrastructure for those events, for the immigration and biometrics of travelers that come in and out of the US. And so you see Kevin McAleenan, their CEO, was acting Secretary of US Department of Homeland Security and US Customs, and that's allowed them to expand. And we kind of have gone over quite a bit, I would say, the biometric side of things, where, and you probably see the thumbnail, there's a Panama and title, maybe we're talking a little bit about Panama, so we're going to get into that. But, just a friendly reminder, this company first seems to be focusing on this infrastructure of building out these biometrics in all of these international airports. I'm flying out of LAX in the next few days here. That's probably going to be a place where I get my face scanned. So, that's part of the digital identity management that they're doing with their VeriScan tech. Now, this is where it gets interesting, though. Aside from all of the data that they're getting, why is that good? Because of all the potential power that gives them to get more contracts with the Department of Defense, to get more contracts with the Department or the Homeland Security in the U.S. government. Why is that? Because the data is very valuable to the U.S. government. What was the number one thing at the beginning of this year that was the reoccurring theme when Doge went into the U.S. Government, basically, and they were assisting with, a lot of things around funding? They called themselves a software company. Like, we need to make the U.S. better at software, basically. And so what did that mean? Well, BigBear.AI in the market chose to not only expand there, but what we see recently is this focus on the Panama Canal. Now, for those of you guys that might not be familiar with what's going on in Panama, it'd be cool at this point if they add a search bar to their press releases, so I could search through their press releases so I don't have to scroll through every time. And I see Abid says that Rob got in at a good price. Yeah, Rob, $4.99. Okay. Some of us got in even lower. We've been covering it since around $1 a share. But not to take anything away from Rob, some people got in a lot higher than Rob as well. So I get it. But what we're looking at here is Panama is a place of power for the U.S. because you got shipments going through the Panama Canal, and they were really losing power of the Panama Canal, the U.S., not just because maybe, different policies or the administration and the U.S. government. It was more because of the data or the surveillance that they didn't have in the Panama Canal to say, oh, did you know Chinese are moving in here? We got more China shipments, and then also they're setting up, maybe some checkpoints almost that are Chinese, and you go down there with the U.S. government and say, well, what's going on here? Why is there, we have a deal with Panama. Panama relies, they tied to the U.S. dollar. We helped build the Panama Canal, so it's a place of very strong importance for the U.S. for shipping, for our economy, and also for Panama's economy. And so what happened was they're like, we need to get eyes on what's going on here. And then a U.S. company, I think it was BlackRock, if I'm not mistaken, goes and buys some of the ports in Panama, and China was very upset about that. They were like, yo, what happened, Panama? We were building a relationship. And the U.S. companies, along with the government, came in and said they worked out some deals for like pennies on the dollar to secure more of the ports in Panama, so the U.S. control is there now. And so what happens is basically now there's this kind of movement where the U.S. is like, we need more eyeballs on what's going on in Panama. Maybe that even happens in other places internationally. But you see Big Bear and Narval Holding Corp launch an AI-powered cargo security management solution in Panama. So this is pretty interesting. It's a power play. It's actually a really big power play for an AI company. And what they have, we'll get into their tech, but what they're focusing on here, Gary says good afternoon. It must be in the afternoon where you're at, Gary. It's about 9:30 a.m. here. Is that they're securing the global supply chain here. And it's really interesting. The CEO says this requires innovation, trust, and the ability to verify each handoff along the way, said the CEO of Big Bear. By partnering with Narval Holding Corp in Panama, a critical gateway for global trade, we will deliver an AI-driven solution to strengthen cargo security while laying the foundation for broader regional adoption and collaborations with the international shipping lines. Now, I know this is a little different than they always call it travel and trade, so it makes sense, but the biometrics in the airports. But this is a place where if they pull off being one of the main companies that's processing a large amount of data, that the things that are going on inside of Panama Canal and through major shipping ports, which they're already doing, we saw them in the port of Seattle and some other places, then this could be a really large market value that they're going to provide to the marketplace, a really large value they're going to provide to the U.S. government or to the different companies that are involved in those trade ports. And so it says Panama Canal is one of the most important arteries of the global trade, and protecting the integrity of cargo that moves through our ports is essential to economic stability and national security. And that's where, if they have a lot of data tracking there, that's definitely means for some more potential contracts with the U.S. government. So really like that. Really like that play they came out with here in the last 2 weeks. And how are they going to do it? Well, I think the why they're doing it is pretty clear. And they're really good at kind of hijacking these trends. Like the US government's like, we need better software. They're going to be looking, TSA says they're looking for more, biometrics at TSA. So what do? They deploy all these Veriscan tech into a lot of airports. They're kind of hijacking that trend. They have the World Cup coming up. They're kind of hijacking that trend. They have the FIFA World Cup. They're kind of hijacking that trend. And then you have the Panama focus where they're like, hey, what's going on in the Panama Canal? The U.S. government, we had to go in there and now secure, U.S. control there because that's how it should be, based on all the history and building the Panama Canal. And so what happens? They're hijacking a trend there. Now you got the U.S. government coming in, and they're there. So what I would like to hear from you is when we're looking at these deployments, what is the number one problem in this right here? And the number one problem that some people might say about this solution, and let's take a look at the solution too. I think we can go to travel and trade here. I think we can go to their, this is what the solution looks like. It's their ARCA. Is it modeling? Is it predictive intelligence maybe? Let's see. They have a few. It's the ARCA here. There it is. So this is kind of how it looks. So they're tracking all of these ports here, and they're tracking when ships come in and out, and the computer vision of the AI is tracking that. So I think that's where they're really having an advantage there, is that technology is being deployed. But the problem that I would say is hitting Big Bear right now, why greater market pressure, we see the things that impact the AI markets push some of those smaller cap AI stocks down recently, especially in the last few days. Some of you guys have seen that pressure, some stocks selling off the last week and a half. And maybe that changes with, rate cuts here in the future, or even just more value creation from these AI companies, which we're seeing at an unprecedented rate. But the problem that they're having now is going to be that they're still not seeing good revenues. Revenues are okay. These types of moves that they're making, if they can have this efficiency to affect change, and the U.S. government says that's where we want to focus, and Big Bear is there with the solution, with all the data, all the AI infrastructure set up. Yeah, hey, here we go. Let's partner. Those contracts could be very large. and especially with AI tech. But nevertheless, what do we see if we're just looking at it from the outside in, from a financial perspective? We haven't seen the last few quarters look good from a revenue standpoint, and so that's not going to be something they'll be able to sustain and still see growth. There is probably a level of tolerance they could continue to keep poor revenues in of 30 to 50 million. But when they're at, 1.8 billion-dollar market cap, then you got to say, well, what are their assets at? Can they sustain that? Well, that's where their balance sheet, their total assets looks fairly good. We see them going right now on track to reach that $1 billion in asset price point or valuation. They have about 600 billion right now, which gives them runway, gives them a lot of wind at their back from a cash perspective. So we'd like to see that continue to increase, and it seems like it has been. It really has been. Year over year, it's up about 440%. So they're definitely doing a good job getting more cash and what have you. So when we're looking at the chart and kind of getting an idea, there was a comment there from Gene, and Gene says facial recognition combined with the drone technology, although being a contentious topic, is probably very lucrative for the defense industry. Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to value. A lot of people find it to be contradictory. If I'm not contradictory, the word would be controversial. When we, let's say, cover robotic stocks that deliver food, and they say, well, those robots that are delivering food for Uber, that you traded their stock the other day, and while you made money trading that stock, someone else is losing their job because of those robots that were just invented, right? There's always controversial perspectives that could be seen in almost any investment. And so when it comes down to, defense companies, or it comes down to, let's say, drone tech, or things related to, biometrics or facial scanning, there's always someone says, well, I don't want to get my facial scanned. It's a free country. I just want to be able to go wherever I want to go without getting my face scanned. And the reality is it's a service. You can do that, but you have to now find a different solution. So what is that solution? Maybe it means you have to take a car to your destination. You don't fly the airport. Well, I want to fly the airport. Well, if you want the service that they're providing of flying an airplane, that's a value in the marketplace they're providing to you that if you want to accept, they're asking for this in exchange. It's the same thing with people that say, it's a monopoly with the grid systems of the electricity. I just want to be able to have electricity and not pay the grid into that company that's a monopoly. It's like, oh, you can. You just have to, create a solar system and do a battery backup and do all this. And it's like, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, well then it's still, what they're not realizing is you can choose. You can choose, you could choose what type of, what route you take. And a lot of times it doesn't come down to like this, you give them your power by choosing to use their service. And you do have a choice. And you might say, no, I don't have a choice, because what else am I going to do? There is a choice. It might just be a little bit primal. There is a choice. So I think that's important to realize with any new technologies or any companies that seem controversial. There's always going to be a perspective. I could cover Starlink and say it's providing internet and an amazing, study of the Earth from outer space, and someone will say, yeah, but there's way too many satellites in space and it's polluting the space orbit. And I'm like, it's part of us expanding to be an interplanetary species. That's a perspective. How about that perspective? So it just depends on how you view it, I guess. Like drone tech could be seen very badly, but maybe those same people that hate drones will choose to use Amazon, and Amazon drops their package at their house, you know? It just depends, I guess, on the perspective you got. Yeah, Coach O says you're scanning your face every day when you have an iPhone. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just depends, you know. It just depends. Um, if you don't want to get that, you get a different phone. I have a friend or an uncle that actually he's given me a lot of insights into how military operation. That's why I'm actually fascinated probably about the Panama Canal, what's happening here with them monitoring with the AI predictive analysis of the Panama Canal. Because I have an uncle who was a colonel in the military at one point. I didn't go into the military, but he was a colonel. He had his own base, and he always taught me about things. And now he's in a kind of classified area of the government that I can't really share. But when he tells me things about the shipping and these things or your phone, he used to always say, you know, have a cover on your phone. If I show you how it looks, if I don't want to show what I'm doing in my environment, I cover my phone. You know, I have I have apps where I don't give out my email. I have apps where I don't what's the word, like give out your IP address, like, and maybe it's crazy, but you can choose. You can choose. It just takes a little more friction, you know. Jobs get created, jobs get lost. Individual investments will not change that. Here's a question for Michael. He says, your family want to make money on investments or let someone else make money instead? Yeah, it also depends on the integrity of the investment. Like, there's a fine line. Like, you could choose, the same way you could also choose to invest in a company that's causing destruction literally to the world, that's not of integrity, versus investing in a company that's, you know, making the world a better place. You know, I don't invest in Coca-Cola for that reason. I just couldn't sleep at night because I wouldn't drink it. I don't, you know, I've drank it before. It tastes good. It's a good celebratory drink, but for the most part, you know, it's not very healthy for most people. So I don't invest in the company. You know, so there are things that you can use. Now, when it comes to you know, a lot of people are talking about where do I buy, where do I sell with Big Bear. In the shorter term trades, you know, I'll end this video with some profit margins and some risk, and we'll talk about what a shorter term trade will look like here in the short term. And when it comes to the institutional holdings, this is kind of the long-term view. The long-term view shows that BigBear.AI, as I was reading the chat, I wanted to see what you guys were saying. I saw some interesting points there. But BigBear.AI has seen a lot more increased positions than decreased positions. Now, that doesn't indicate, and that's not means saying that you should buy, but it is just from a standpoint of years of watching stocks move. If institutions are buying and increasing their positions at a much higher rate than that of the decreased position, so it means they're adding and accumulating more and more, then oftentimes that means that the long-term outlook for the company looks more favorable. Now, not always. It also depends on how much they're holding. But in this case, we're actually seeing a pretty large, substantial amount of holdings. You know, 20.8 million shares from Vanguard. BlackRock's got 20 million, which makes sense because, you know, Panama Canal, I mean, BlackRock bought a port or two inside of Panama. So maybe they're looking at the tech and they're saying, oh, they're kind of going out here. It's a good investment. I don't know if that's how they see that. But Citadel, State Street, Goldman Sachs, you know, we see them run in there. So from a long-term perspective, it normally indicates growth. When you look at the increased positions, those companies are basically first on the list. Now, when it comes to the shorter-term trading and investing, you know, as we mentioned, there's some downward pressure from a revenue standpoint. And we look at the chart here and we can see that they are trying to hold this $5 support level. And if they do hold it, what it would look like on Tuesday when the market opens up would look something like this. Probably like a 4 to 5% increase up into this $5.25 range. Now, this is usually the type of trade we'd look for at market open, and that would happen after a dip, probably some some manipulation, maybe pre-market, we could see a spike. That's probably not the time to buy. And then follow that manipulation. We could even look at, Friday, we saw that, I think, right at market open. You see it push up before market open, sell off aggressively, and distribute down for a couple minutes before accumulating. So if it's a shorter term trade, that's how we would play it. We'd probably look for that sell down into that $5 range and look for, a shorter term 4 to 5% swing. But to be honest, on the shorter term trades, I wouldn't trade it. Long term, we have a lot of positions. I have some positions in my Schwab portfolio that we've been covering it, like I mentioned, or since $1 a share. So we'll continue to add there. But what we'll really like to do this week is we're going to be in quantum focus this week. I'm going to a conference. We're going to look at some of the impacts in quantum from, I could show you guys this is the conference I'm going to. Okay, and I already got my media pass. They were super friendly, gave me all the media pass I can get, so I have full access to this event. Thank you guys so much for all the support that we're able to get a media pass. I think the full entire value packed program is somewhere in the range of like $2,000. So it's really cool that we're able to get passes like this to be able to go, and I can also visit some family while I'm in Albuquerque because that's where I was born. So when we're looking at the programs, there's a couple things. You got IBM, you got Microsoft, but what we're going to be watching here from a quantum computing perspective is we're going to look at quantum applications. So we'll be getting there, let's see, Tuesday, right here. Tuesday is when we're getting there. We're going to be looking at quantum applications specifically in the error correction. We're going to be looking at how the error correction is going. Quantum accelerated computing, how they're stacking up and maybe getting used in data centers. So that's going to be something we're going to watch. We're going to be watching quantum computing architecture and design and how it stacks up and how scalable some of the companies are compared to other companies. And then I think it's Wednesday, we get to see the quantum computing related to, let's see, those are control systems. Let's see. I was looking for software development and development related to the financial application, because with our current, quantum AI. So you're going to do quantum artificial intelligence is what we're going to jump into, some of the algorithms. And here it is. This is one I really want to look at on Thursday, which is quantum algorithms for financial applications. So the reason we're going to look at quantum for financial applications here, looks like HSBC will be there. UC Berkeley is there, so probably going to hear from Rigetti. Wells Fargo is there as well. They're probably going to be talking some hedge fund and program quantum neural networks for actually analyzing financial assets, which to me is where we can plug in that capability into our Mercatus app. And so this app is essentially what we do is we take all of the historical data and everything, including the news and the financials and the charts and everything, and be able to have AI-driven analysis for projections. And one thing that happens, at least it's quite common, is if we do an analysis of a company, sometimes it can take as long as 3 minutes for me to get an analysis back because of all of the research it has to do. But I would really like for it to be, as quick as a second. And so that's where quantum computing could come in. So we're going to be watching for the financial applications there on Thursday. So we're going to that quantum computing conference. We'll be there for the week. I'm looking forward to some of the companies that we're going to be talking with. You guys let me know if there's anything specific you'd like to know. But it looks like let's see, let's see that we got Quantum Machines will be there, Quantinium, which I've had the honor of meeting, which is really cool. Microsoft will be there. IonQ will be there, which is a publicly traded company there. IBM, Qnova, along with AWS, which is a really, if you go to any quantum computing company right now and you go to see which ones are the most dominant, you'll find that they're a lot of times going to be on AWS, or in this case, Microsoft. So Rigetti is on Microsoft. You could also find Rigetti on AWS. So we're going to be looking there. Some of the other smaller companies, IQM, they've been getting some traction along with Los Alamos will be there. And I'm thinking we'll be looking primarily in the effect of scalability and how fast we could see some of these quantum computing companies, which ones are leading and which ones most likely will be at the forefront of quantum, and be able to identify which companies will have the greatest chance of being the main player in AI. So that's the focus. Hopefully that makes sense. So Marcus says that you seem to care. I believe that I care about you. Thanks for tuning in, man. Let's see. Coach says you just want to aggrandanize your values again and again. Nobody cares. Huh. They don't share why they're bullish. Quantum stocks are risky. Yeah, I mean, it's a perspective. I think the greatest risk of all would not be knowing about quantum computing or not knowing about AI. I'm not really sure what you mean. Explorer says, I take all the info in. Let's go. BBAI slowly expanding, must execute well, says Austin. I agree. Awesome. Marcus says, not you, Will. I'm talking about this Coach O troll. Oh, okay. You're not talking about me. All right. About to say, I mean, I don't care. Like, you don't have to talk. You don't have to worry about hurting my feelings, dude. I mean, I have no desire to change your mind if you're, looking at quantum a different way. Like, I'm actually very open to your opinion. If anybody tells me like this is going to zero, like, I'm open ears. In no way would I want to like be open ears so that I can prove you wrong. But I will share with you the things that I've learned about those markets that potentially would allow you to see it clearer from my perspective. But no, I mean, I want you to be able to see clear in these stocks. So I have no intention other than to get you the best information I can. So for BigBear.AI, getting back into, I just want to quick, I guess we went on a little tangent there. We're going to a quantum computing conference this week. I'll be there. Hopefully those insights lead to you guys making more money as a result, or us having a better understanding of where the quantum market's going. When it comes to BBAI, we see them at that $5 support. We're looking for them to make it up into this $5.25 resistance. Overall, they're in this near downtrend. We'll see if they can either break out and make that run back up into that $5.85, that $6 range, which would be an 18% increase from here. Otherwise, they got the support at $5, and we don't want to see them break below about $4.85. That would indicate more bearish. We could see it happen. It's not that we don't want to see it, but if it does happen, long-term positions I'm going to hold, possibly even add. Short-term positions, obviously, if that happened, we're not going to be trading any short-term positions. We'd be looking for more of breakouts or a validation of a support before entering for a short-term position. So those are the levels right now to watch. Don't want to see, or preferably that 485 holds on Big Bear, but super prefer that it can break back up to that $5 to $6 range. Awesome. Good. All right. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you all. Coach wants to fight with everyone. What's going on here? Oh, Coach, I'm sorry, man. I gotta get you out of here. It's not even that you're fighting with everyone. It's that you're talking about DraftKings. There's just nothing that you're excited. If you're excited about DraftKings, I mean, can I give you another chance? We don't talk about gambling here. We don't talk about gambling. We're not here to gamble. Um, you're excited about the NFL starting up. All right, I'll give you one more chance. I like the Chargers. Who's your team? Who's your team, man? You got to let me know. And also, only one message you can send per minute. We can't have 2, 5, 10 messages every minute here, like I'm seeing. If you got a message, put it all in one. Get a nice organized thought process together. Feel good about it. Say, this is how I meant to say some things, because I say a few texts, I see that you say, oh, I didn't mean to say that. And then put it all together and drop it in. And as long as you do that, we can keep it cool. How about that? Sound good? Bajal says, thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Bajal. Thanks for tuning in. So, last thing to go over before we close this out. Some of you guys, are looking at the quantum, you're looking at the AI, and you're saying these tools are super powerful. If that's you, let's take a look over here at the machine. We did a full breakdown of the machine live for you earlier this week. Now, if you missed it, you're going to want to go watch this video, because this is closing on Monday. So I'm going to open up the video, and you might see some of this stuff. The normal stock finding system. You build a watch list. You track and monitor all these things. Then you have to go through and do it all again. How many of you guys have been there? Feel like you're having to repeat your processes over and over. How many of you guys feel that way? Well, this basically builds the list. You could pick the stock, check the charts, check the news, analyze the financial, determine the profit opportunity, all on autopilot. And it gives you way faster analysis of stocks. So this is our company. This isn't a promotion of a different company. This is technology that's developed based on how I invest. This uses the best AIs in the world. We have OpenAI and Grok currently. I can search up any ticker. You could search up your favorite ticker, and we could get a full analysis for any time frame in the near future, up to 1 year. So you can do next 4 hour, next week, next month, next 3 months, next year. And right now we have OpenAI and Grok. So as we introduce this, there is a link. It's the first link in the description. You can go get a look at it. Right now we have an insane offer where you get access to the machine for a year and all of the new AI models that we add. So some of you guys might have seen ChatGPT analysis. It looks something like this. How many of you guys seen it? It looks like this. You get an analysis. But the problem is you got ChatGPT, you got Meta, you got Grok, you got Google, you got DeepSeek, you got Claude, all of these different new AIs that are coming out. And the one AI company that is taking all of them and bringing them to you to use any of the best models from these companies, Google, ChatGPT, Meta, Grok, that are coming out with this ability for you to analyze assets. We're bringing the top models. $200 per month or more are what some of these models cost. And you can get them for the next year as we add them out along with the other tools in the machine. And it's going to cost you less than half of that amount on a monthly basis, but it's paid for the whole year. Now, if that's something you're interested in, then I would encourage you, if you want to analyze a stock and have that process speed it up for you, then I would encourage you to check out the first link below. And if you're looking at offers that can suit your needs, not only does it have the speed and the saving of the time that it does your analysis for you, but it also includes bonuses in that offer. So you get access to, for example, Stockmates. Stockmates is where we trade live, daily live trading. You get a year access of our daily live trading Monday through Friday. So on Tuesday, or I guess Tuesday through Friday this week, you're going to be there tomorrow or Tuesday at market open, 6:30 a.m. We'll be there. We have all of the companies that are reporting earnings every week, when they're reporting earnings, and the targets for all of them. And you get a free t-shirt when you join. So not only do you get daily live trading, you get a free t-shirt as a bonus with a bunch of other really cool bonuses there. It's a really cool offer, and I would say that if you don't want to miss out on having lifetime access to some of these things, I would encourage you, go grab it, because lifetime access actually expires for Stockmate tomorrow, and we're going to be moving to a subscription model. So if you don't want to pay a subscription, then I would encourage you, just check that link down below. It's the first link for not only the machine for the year, but also for Stockmate. So those are the outrageous offers we have available. That's, my team thinks it's absolutely bonkers that we're offering so much. So we are doing it. And if you want to do it, you want to be there for our live session Monday through Friday as well. It's there, and I would love to see you there. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Lee says BBAI linked in a post that they made about their airport tech for Labor Day. So there may be something coming out next week. Lee is a stockmate. I see a few stockmates in here. Some of you guys know that we have over 25 millionaires in Stockmate. But Lee, if I search up Lee in Stockmate, is this okay, Lee? Can I search some of your research? Lee has come out with some research on things like the shorts, different shorts that are coming out, BBAI insights, including different things that leads to our better research, like new deployments of Big Bear into new airports. So there's people that are covering top AI stocks inside of Stockmate that are in it and bringing some great insights directly to you. So Lee, thanks so much for being a great Stockmate, man. I appreciate you. I want to send you over a free coffee cup too for Stockmate. I think you already got your t-shirt, or did you? We'll have to go over that. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you all. So again, it's that first link below for the link, and have a great rest of your weekend. I'm here in LA and then going to the quantum computing conference this week. So get ready for some quantum content this week. We're going to be going over some good stocks here. Do we go over meme stocks? No, we do not. Open, is it a pump and dump? I don't know that it's a pump and dump, but it has pump and dump attention, but the financials don't necessarily indicate a pump and dump. But they do have some manipulation going on over there on OPEN. Christ Menendez says, can you check APLD, or can you make a video about APLD? I got a little bit of coffee in my cup. I'll do one more here. I'll do one more. Let's go into APLD real quick. Okay, we can jump in. So what we see with APLD stock, the market that they're in is in data centers. So first thing we can kind of do is just market of data centers. They're growing really fast. We've seen global markets are expanding. Top companies like NVIDIA are investing more into data centers. Almost every big AI company is investing more into data centers. And we see that the demand is absolutely surging. I was looking for some 33% year over year. So very fast growing market. I think it's even going to be more than that. And so APLD specializes in, this is kind of we get into the analysis stage. So in the market, we see a lot of growth in that market, but also we see the real world usage here on APLD. So for data centers, they have been building some data centers for top AI companies. They're building for CoreWeave. That's a $11 billion deal. They recently came out with a press release indicating another $3 billion deal building data centers for Polaris. And they added another 150 megawatts just 2 days ago to this this CoreWeave deal. And so that brought that expenditure from 7 billion up to about 11 billion. So they're seeing some increases in the spend on their data centers. So when we get into the news a little bit more for the company, they've had some interesting growth because of their approach to data centers. If they were saying, we'll build you a warehouse, they probably would not do good. But if they're saying, we'll build you a strategically placed data center near renewable energy sources with advanced liquid cooling technology for superior performance, and will do compact design with high power density and minimize the carbon footprints for you. Then we'll go near the wind turbines, we'll go near the solar, we'll go near the grid. Not only that, but we have partners that will make your data center building even faster. So for example, they got Supermicro Computer that works with xAI, Elon's company. They work with NVIDIA, and they have those housing structures that go inside of the data centers that house all of the servers or all of the GPUs. So they're partnered with Supermicro Computer. Then they're partnered there with NVIDIA, Dell Technologies, Intel. So top AI companies are going to them to build data centers. Now, that's the news side of things. Then we get into the financials. Financials are a $4.2 billion market cap. They just signed these deals, these big deals, basically right around the time of their earnings. So we haven't seen it reflect in their revenue. Their revenue is still between $30 to $60 million per quarter. And their net income has been still negative, which indicates they're still in kind of a early stage for their company in this new found pursuit of building data centers. Before they kind of were building, I don't know that it was specifically data centers. I think it was related to like warehouses. Then they were building Bitcoin mining centers, and now they're focused on the data center side. And so pretty similar industry to stay in. But what we see here is their total assets at 1.87 billion. So the assets on their balance sheet indicate that quarterly they're seeing increases in their total assets. Annually, they're seeing their assets increase massively, up over 1,000% on their increase in cash over the last year, which indicates they're really sizing up for what could be some big building of some big data centers. Now, their liabilities are a little bit higher than we'd like to see, just about 1.2 billion as of recently, which indicates they could have some liabilities that probably are related to the construction or probably related to the outsourcing or the contractors that they have to go through in order to build these data centers. So it makes sense. So that's how the news look. The financials a little bit currently from a deal perspective of what we see with their news, they look great. From a past history of what they got on paper for their revenue, they don't look that good. So what looks good though is all of the news coming out around some of the positive impact they're having. Building in North Dakota, for example, which is a cold place that optimizes their data centers and their partnerships with big tech. When it comes to their institutional holdings, one more thing on the financials, they were here on NASDAQ, which could be sometimes a little bit slower for the reporting of the institutional holdings, but we could still get an idea. You could see 176 holders increased positions with BlackRock. We see an increase there of about 14 million shares held. You see, they changed their shares recently, sold a little bit. Vanguard is up. They increased their position. So a lot of institutions holding this company and looking forward to their growth. Now, that brings us to the third thing, which is going to be their charts and their margin for profit. What they've had going for them is that they've seen a slow market cap build with certain times of spikes and dips. We've seen them dip as low as $4 a share. Now, they're pretty overextended right now. When you look at the RSI and the MACD, they look like they're up there. And on a medium-term trade, maybe could be a little bit on the overbought side. I think the long term looks really good, but one thing to watch is the support level at $14. Previous resistance oftentimes will act as a support, and we see that previous resistance right there at about $14 a share. When we see them get up into these highs now and they're getting into 1760, there is a trend developing that could be hyper bullish where we could see them continue. But if you're trading that trend, with the exception of that big sell down we saw in the market on the 29th, they are seeing this trend continue. So it looks like you see them hold that $14 support. They pushed up to 1760 and they're down now to 1587 with info line telling us that potentially they're going to get up here into this $18 price point if they hold this 15.50 price point. So if they hold 15.50 right now, the next margin that they're looking for from a margin for profit is about 10% to 12%. It's this 10 to 15% margin for profit from about 1575, 1550 really at the lowest up into that $18 price point. So that's where they're looking at. So if we're going to trade them at market open, we'll kind of see the direction on Tuesday, see if they hold, and if the opportunity presents itself, we could be looking for an entry here that would take them up into that level of about 18 bucks a share. That's the hyper bull trend. Now, conservatively, there is that support level down at $14. So just kind of watch there. That's a 10% sell down. So if we get into a short-term trade, when we do, we'll want to have a plan together because they are in data centers right now and AI. Things move pretty quick. Everything seems to be going up, and it has been, but they have been pretty volatile on the way up. So that's the full breakdown. There you go. APLD. I really like the company personally. I have positions, but currently we're kind of waiting for the balance sheet, not the balance sheet, the revenue to catch up to those deals that they signed, which you don't really want to wait too much because a lot of times your advantage is that you see those deals come in before they report earnings, and it kind of gives you an idea of, okay, these next earnings could be pretty good. But nevertheless, you don't want to bet a lot on earnings. Maybe it takes a while for money to hit the account. So we just want to wait a little bit, see how that goes for any shorter or longer term adds to our position there. But yeah, we do have some long-term holds. Keystone says they should make a 2x APLD. I love that. Lee says, nice. I have a Stockmate tee. He says he rocks it all the time. Let's go. So you did get your Stockmate tee. Let's go. Awesome. Lee says Stockmates and daily live trading videos are awesome. I hope one day we can have a real life meetup party. We'll have to do it, Lee. That sounds great. And thanks for the testimonial, guys. Appreciate it. And that's the final call there. If you guys want to join that Stockmate offer with the access to the machine AI driven analysis, then it's going to be that link in the description, first link in the description for the Stockmate offer that's closing for lifetime access. It is closing here on September 1st. Then it'll be a subscription. So no worries. If not, if you want to pay a subscription later, that's totally fine too. Some people don't want to do that and want lifetime access. So glad I can let you know that that's the deal. Appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye. See you guys. Thanks, Kush. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Keystone. Thanks, Saul. Appreciate you. Clubby, thanks for tuning in. Michael, Lawrence. See you guys in the next